Hey everyone, and welcome. So for today's explainer, we're diving into a real classic of the computing world, the Slackware Linux Essentials Manual. We're going to use it to explore, a radically different way of thinking about the technology we use every day.
I mean, think about it. We're all surrounded by these sleek, polished devices and automated systems, right? And they're convenient, for sure. But sometimes, doesn't it feel like there's this big wall between you and what's actually happening under the hood? It's a really common feeling, this sense of being disconnected from our own tools.
But what if there's a totally different way, an approach built on the exact opposite principle? Well, that's Slackware Linux. Its entire design philosophy is captured right here in this one powerful idea. The user, that means you, is the one in charge. Not some algorithm, not an automatic update, you.
Now, you might hear that and think it sounds kind of old-fashioned, or maybe just difficult for the sake of it. But it's not. It's actually a very deliberate, very thoughtful design choice that's rooted in these traditional Unix principles. It's all about clarity and stability over things like, arbitrary deadlines or unnecessary bells and whistles.
And this contrast is really at the heart of everything. On one side, you've got the Slackware way. You're directly editing simple text configuration files. You're using these powerful command line tools, and new versions come out only when they are rock solid and ready. Then you've got the modern way, shiny graphical settings panels that hide all the details, multiple layers of abstraction, and constant automatic updates. Slackware just chooses transparency every single time. And look, this philosophy, it isn't just some abstract idea on a page. It becomes incredibly clear the moment you start. Your very first interaction with Slackware, the actual installation, is an experience all on its own. Of course, yeah, you can download it from the internet, just like anything else, but you also have this amazing classic option, a physical 4-disc box set. You can actually hold it. It's seriously like a time capsule, and it just speaks volumes about the system's long history. Okay, so what kind of beast of a machine do you need to run this? Well, get ready for this, because it's kind of a shock. The manual says the minimum RAM you need is just 32 megabytes. Nope, that's not a typo. 32. That alone tells you so much about efficiency and just a total lack of bloat. And yeah, it doesn't stop there. The minimum disk space needed? A single gigabyte. I mean, you could probably run this on hardware you'd find in a museum. This isn't about being behind the times. It's about having a laser focus on what is absolutely essential and nothing more. So during this setup process, the manual recommends something it calls newbie mode. Now, this isn't newbie as in easier. It's newbie as in more deliberate. It makes you walk through every single software package, one by one. It tells you what it is, and you have to explicitly say yes or no. You are literally building your system piece by piece with full knowledge and consent. Okay, so once you're installed, you're going to be spending a lot of time at the command line. And this is where the real power is. It's not about memorizing a bunch of weird commands. It's about learning how to combine simple, powerful little tools to get incredibly complex things done. And the absolute key to all of this is a little something called the pipe. It's just that vertical bar character on your keyboard. And the idea is so simple, but it's totally profound. You take the results of one program and you literally pipe it directly into the next one. You're building a chain. So let's look at a pipeline in action, right? First, this PS command lists all the processes running on the system. Then, we pipe that whole list over to this little command, tac, which is just cat spelled backwards, and it reverses the entire list line by line. Finally, we take that reversed output and we append it to a log file. 3 simple tools, one very specific outcome. It's like data plumbing. But, and this is a huge but, with all this power comes, well, a ton of responsibility. This command right here, rm-rf/, if you run that as the system administrator, it will recursively and forcefully delete every single file on the entire system, starting from the very top. There's no "are you sure" pop-up, nothing. It is the most stark, unfiltered reminder that Slackware trusts you to know what you are doing. This focus on philosophy goes so deep it even gets down to the text editors. The classic debate, the great editor war between Vi and Emacs, is a perfect example. Vi is small, lightweight, and modal, meaning it has different modes for commands and for typing. Emacs is, well, it's a universe. It's this massive, all-encompassing environment that you can extend to do almost anything. Just 2 totally different powerful philosophies about control. All right, so let's scale this up.
This same philosophy applies to managing the entire system as an administrator. It's all about taking complete ownership of your machine, understanding its services, its security, its structure, right from the ground up.
Let's take a classic tool, something like Telnet. The manual is super clear because it sends everything as plain, unencrypted text. You should never use it to log into a machine over the internet. It is dangerously insecure for that. But that same simplicity, its ability to just send raw text across a network, makes it an amazing tool for something else entirely.
Okay, and this is where it gets really fun. You can use that same simple, insecure tool to connect directly to a web server on its web port, which is port 80. Then, you can just manually type an HTTP command, and the server will just send you back the raw HTML of the web page. You are speaking the web's native language, completely unfiltered. It's a perfect example of peeling back the layers to see how things really work.
But having this level of control means you have to know what you're doing. The manual gives this fantastic cautionary tale about a backup system that failed because someone accidentally created two symbolic links in a loop. Each one was pointing to the other. So the backup software just followed them back and forth forever until it completely filled up the entire hard drive. It's a powerful story that reminds you that on a system like this, deep knowledge isn't optional. It's absolutely essential.
And you apply that knowledge directly, by hand. You want to add a user? You can literally just open up the etc password file and edit it. You want to disable a service from starting up? You just make its startup script non-executable. Managing software? Simple, direct command line tools. Everything is a file, everything is a command, and you have total access to all of it.
Okay, so after going on this whole journey, what's the big takeaway? What is the real value of thinking this way, especially in a world that seems to be sprinting in the complete opposite direction, toward more and more abstraction? So what this all really boils down to is a fundamental trade-off, right? Slackware gives you maximum direct control with very little abstraction. It doesn't hide anything. A modern OS, on the other hand, often gives you the opposite, very high levels of abstraction to make things convenient, but that comes at the cost of direct control. Neither one is inherently better or worse. They're just different philosophies for totally different goals. But I think the most important lesson you get from playing with a system like this, it's actually pretty profound. Operating systems, they're not magic. They're not these unknowable black boxes. They are understandable. They are built from a collection of distinct parts, tools, and simple text files, all working together in ways that you can learn, you can observe, and ultimately, you can control. And that leads us to one last, kind of provocative thought. If we accept the idea that deep knowledge, really understanding the mechanics of how a system works, is a genuine form of power, then how much power, how much real agency does understanding a transparent system like Slackware give you in a world that is increasingly built on complex and often intentionally hidden layers of abstraction? Definitely something to think about.